Civilization is possible, very, very possible, if we will choose it. As the dialogue here makes clear, we are but one decision away. I hope you'll decide to make that decision after hearing what follows.
Introduction.
I awoke from a sound sleep on August 2nd, 2016. It was the urge that awakened me. I knew it well. I hadn't felt it in nearly 10 years, but I knew it well. I had no idea what time it was, but I thought to myself, if it's 4:23, will I need more of a sign than that? I glanced at the clock on my bedside table. 4:13 a.m. Of course, just enough time to pull myself out of bed for my 4:23 appointment. The first dialogue I ever had with God began at 4:23 in the morning, and every morning for weeks I would be awakened between 4:15 and 4:30 by a deep inward urge, get back to the dialogue. This pattern continued for months, and subsequently for years. I wondered if there was any significance to the timing of it, but ultimately I released any need to know. When the first Conversations with God material, scribbled on yellow legal pads, actually became a published book, I was told in the dialogue that it would, by the way, so I sent it to a publisher on a dare. I thought that maybe something important had taken place here. And when over 1 million people obtained the book, and I saw it being translated into 37 languages, I was shocked into certainty about that. Then it came to pass that requests for me to speak outside the United States began arriving, and I had to find my birth certificate in order to apply for a passport. Well, it was nowhere to be found among my personal papers, of course, so I applied to the Records Department of the government where I was born, paying the fee and asking to be sent an official copy. I was stunned when I opened the envelope and examined the document. Time of birth? 4:23 a.m. Of course. The fact that this experience of divine connection always seemed to be initiated near the same time every day that I came into the world somehow seemed meaningful to me. At the very least, I could not ignore the perfect symmetry of it. Through the years, then, whenever I found myself suddenly wide awake between 4:15 and 4:30 in the morning, eyes staring at the ceiling, a certain energy coursing through my body, I knew what was going on. I got up immediately, raced to my laptop, and opened myself to whatever wanted to come through. And so it was on this day, August 2nd, 2016. I've just thrown back the covers and pulled myself out of bed. Now, here I am. The only thing is, I didn't think I'd ever be doing this again. Let me explain. All of us are having what I've come to call conversations with God all the time. This was made clear to me on page 5 of the over 3,000 pages of the published CWG dialogues. So my experience was not unique, not uncommon. What was perhaps a bit unusual was that I had made a written record of my innermost encounters and then sent it to a publisher who, in fact, actually printed it and placed it in bookstores. I've come to understand and to experience that I, and all of us, have a deep and personal connection with God all the time, and that we may have an actual communication with the divine, asking for help, guidance, insight, and assistance whenever we wish. That was, in fact, the point of the book. It was placed into the world to open other people everywhere to this experience, to invite them to a new and more personal relationship with God. The feeling that I must have such a dialogue, however, that the time has come for such an interaction, signaled by a deep inner feeling welling within me that cannot be ignored, is something else altogether. I experience this as a feeling that comes over me, and I haven't had that feeling for nearly 10 years. So I've held the idea that I had encountered it for the last time. Oh, I knew I'd be writing again. I'll always be writing something. A column for Huffington Post, a blog for CWG Connect, a Facebook entry, an answer to someone posting a question at Ask Neil, even a full-length book exploring in depth the messages I've received. Something, but another on-paper conversation with God? Another back-and-forth dialogue with deity? I thought those days were over. I thought that process was complete. I was wrong.
Chapter 1.
I didn't think I'd ever be doing this again. I thought this process was complete.
There's more to do. One more invitation, dear one.
I've already accepted two, Change the world's mind about God and give people back to themselves. I thought that was it.
I know. It wasn't time yet for the third.
Oh, so now it is.
Now.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to address, I believe that when you have gotten to the being and you are being and the finances are coming because of your beingness, where does the abundance come in? The abundance of the finances, the abundance of money. Not just that you have money, not just that money is coming because of your beingness, but truly abundance.
Well, we get into a very difficult area here having to do with how you define abundance. You see, it's clear to me that there's a definition of abundance behind your question that may not be. All of us have questions about life, I would think. I surely do and have always been intrigued by what I want to call the larger questions of life. Sometimes these questions have intrigued me simply because I was curious. Sometimes I've been intrigued by them because I was desperate. But always I've been intrigued by these larger questions. For God is the sum total of all of us, and nothing else. Nothing more, and nothing less. We are it. We're the only game in town.
Let's get litty.
What?
Turn up. Get up.
What? What?